I also have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker and BCIT's newest honorary Doctor of Technology, Mark Angelo. Mark is a globally, you can do it, you can do it. Mark is a globally renowned river conservationist, speaker, author, and paddler. He founded BC Rivers Day and World Rivers Day, an event celebrated by millions of people in over 100 countries. Mark is the recipient of the Order of Canada and the Order of BC for his efforts to protect and restore rivers both locally and across the globe. His work has been formally recognized by the United Nations and has also inspired Emmy-winning specials and feature films. Mark has authored hundreds of articles and several books, including River Magic and The Little Creek That Could, which, of course, features Gishon Creek on the BCIT Burnaby campus. Dr. Zabudsky will now present the ceremonial hood and credential to Mark. Don't go too far. Now I'm going to be the first person to put these words in this order. Please join me in welcoming for the first time, Dr. Mark Angelo.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. It's great to be here. To the Board of Governors, the President, our platform party, graduates and guests, once again, just terrific to be back here in this auditorium, and I am so very grateful for this degree. I am also honored to be able to say a few words to you, the grads of 2025. Now today, as others have said, this is certainly a day you should celebrate. It's the culmination of an incredible amount of effort and determination on your part, as well as those who have supported you. Now, I had the privilege of teaching at BCIT for many, many years, going back to the very early days of the Institute. I met my wife, Kathy, here. Our oldest daughter, Kelly, went to school here, and she now works here. I had amazing colleagues and developed great friendships, so the Institute has been a really big part of my life. Now, from the beginning, BCIT has always been unique because of its applied nature, and I know all of you here appreciate that. It is a very special place. And the credential you receive today will certainly do much to prepare you for a very rewarding career. But it will also enable you to play a broader role if you so choose, one in which you could help to influence and shape your profession, your community, your province, and maybe even the planet as a whole. Now, as some of you know, I have spent much of my life traveling down rivers. Rivers like the Mekong, the Nile, the Niger, the Yangtze, the Amazon, and our very own Fraser, to name just a few. And those trips provided many memorable and even life-altering experiences. Some great adventures, amazing cultural exchanges, moments of exhilaration, and some pretty fearful times too. My life on rivers has also been one of extremes, as you can probably appreciate, from traveling down the most remote waterways on the planet to the most urban, from the wildest to the most placid, and from the most pristine to the most desecrated. And all of those experiences reaffirm my belief that rivers are the arteries of our planet. They are lifelines in the truest sense. Traveling by river also enables one to see the world through a pretty special and magical lens. In fact, I often use the term river magic, the title of my new book, as a way of describing how a river can make you feel. It harkens back to when I was a boy and how much I loved magic. And whenever I'd see a good magician perform, I'd have this great sense of joy and awe and wonderment. Well, being on a river, with all of its sounds, its movement, its life, it makes me feel exactly the same way. Now, over the decades, I've come to see a lot of parallels between the characteristics of a river's course and the stages that we go through in our own lives. A river like the Fraser, as an example, it begins in the upper reaches, the upper parts of Mount Robson. And I've seen it there. It's only a couple of feet across. It's about the size you were as a toddler. But as it carries on, it gets bigger and faster and wilder. And having paddled the river's full course, I've seen those wild sections firsthand, up close. And as happens in life, when you hit wild rapids, your boat will flip on occasion. And when that happens, you have to right your raft. You have no choice. You have to right your raft, you get back in, and you carry on. And then as a river nears its end, it moves a little slower, becomes a little broader, starts to meander a bit before it reaches the sea. So a river's journey is a lot like our own. Now, in terms of the great journey that awaits you, I'd like to offer 7 foundational beliefs that I subscribe to that perhaps you may choose to embrace along the way. 1, chase your dream. Now, graduating from a great institution like BCIT certainly fulfills one of those, but there will be others. And whatever those are, big or small, pursue them. That's something my dad told me long ago when he saw how enamored I was with rivers and the outdoors. And as a little boy, I remember being just so captivated by moving water. I was the kind of kid that could literally explore a creek or a stream for hours on end, turning over rocks looking for critters or fish. I'm actually still that way. And then as a teenager, I got into paddling in a big way, and by then I knew if at all possible, I wanted to spend my life trying to protect rivers. It was a dream at the time, but that's how many things we do in life begin. You then have to decide to pursue it and make it a reality. 2, look for opportunities to explore. Now, I have to say, in my youth, the idea of being an explorer I thought sounded really cool. But back then, I interpreted the word exploration in a really limited way and in a very traditional sense, thinking it solely meant traveling to wild rivers or wild places. But as I got older, I came to view the word in a much broader sense, a word that means exploring new paths, investigating new methodologies, simply trying to do things in a better and more effective way. And from that perspective, all of us can and should be explorers. And I have no doubt that most of you will be. Number 3, look at things not so much as what they are, but what they should be. As just one example, I often think of Gishon Creek that was referred to earlier. Gishon Creek in that beautiful southeast corner of the Burnaby campus, which many of you walk along. But 50 plus years ago, it looked nothing like it does now. Back then, the creek was barren, polluted, damaged, lifeless. Yet on my second day at BCIT, I met an elderly gentleman who had lived close to the creek his entire life, for 80 years. And he talked glowingly about how beautiful the creek was in his youth. So after meeting him, I couldn't help but think, wouldn't it be neat if we could reclaim the creek and bring it back to what it once was? So we set out to do that. And thanks to the efforts of students and staff and others, we made great headway. The area is now a green oasis, a story I chronicled in the children's book, The Little Creek That Could. And BCIT recently just opened up another stretch, and they developed a new fishway, which was amazing. So just like the story of this creek, whatever you do in life, at some point, there will be an opportunity to change something for the better, to make it what it should be. 4, champion the environment. In both your personal and work life, do your part to recycle, conserve energy, use water wisely. Also, each of us buys things every day. So my hope is that more and more of us will practice conscious consumerism and give thought to the ecological footprint of the products we use, from the foods we buy to the clothes we wear. Number 5, make nature a significant part of your life as well as the little ones that you might be connected to. We are so lucky to live in a province where the natural world is not far away. Take advantage of that. It's important to your mental and physical health. Being outside makes us happier. I feel so strongly about that. Being outside makes us happier and healthier. Just as importantly, exploring a park or a local creek with a child is simply a great way to spend time with them. It's certainly something I love doing with our 2 grandkids, Tucker and Gray, and they're with us today. Yet many children grow up in today's urban environment with little exposure to the natural world. And if that continues, I worry that the next generation may lose that link to nature and may be less likely to appreciate the importance of protecting our environment. Number 6, fully embrace those things in life that move you. For me, that's always been family, teaching, travel, and of course, the magic of rivers. And no doubt all of you here have things that you're passionate about, and that list will probably grow. So think about what really moves you, inspires you, what lights you up. Whatever those things are, make them pillars of your life going forward. And finally, number 7. I hope you'll always retain that positive outlook and feeling of hope that's in you today. And while there will be periodic challenges, strive to prevent things like negativity and pessimism from taking root. I know sometimes that is easier said than done, and there is no shortage of turmoil out in the world today. But optimism is simply the tendency to believe, because without it, roadblocks can be really imposing, seemingly insurmountable. I think back to my own travels and some of the really disturbing things that I have seen personally, from terrorism, pollution, illness, hunger, thirst. So it would be easy for me to be pessimistic about the future of our planet, but I've never come to that point. In fact, I'm optimistic, sometimes guardedly so, but nevertheless, I'm optimistic about the future. And a major reason for that has to do with the many young people I've had the privilege of knowing and working with, and so many came from BCIT. Young people that were principled, committed, spirited, passionate. So in the end, when push comes to shove, I do believe we'll do the right thing as a society. And your generation, which I so strongly believe in, will play a huge role. The road won't always be smooth sailing. At times it'll seem like some of those big turbulent rapids I mentioned a little earlier, but that's the nature of the times. Bottom line, we live in one of the most beautiful and vibrant places on the planet. And when you couple that with new grads like yourselves taking on an increasingly prominent role, it's hard not to be hopeful about what lies ahead. You will achieve amazing things. Thank you.